Hello and welcome to another episode, another adventure of The Numbers All Go to 11. You're here with Dom again, and this time we're on Seikgyi Island, counting down. Yes, counting down AC/DC. John Peel once said about a different band, The Fool, that they were always the same but different. One moment please. And the same could be said about AC/DC, except they're always the same but the same. Well, but is that completely true? I'm pretty sure if you played somebody high voltage and then you played them rock or bust, they'd be able to tell the difference, just as they would if you were to play them Dr. No then Spectre back to back. But the template, the concept, the expectations that we have are always the same. In fact, if anything, unlike the Bond franchise, AC/DC has regressed rather than progressed in the last 40 years. The first track on the first album has bagpipes, and that's the last time they didn't use an instrument that wasn't guitar, bass or drums. Unless we count a bit of slide guitar on, which song is it? Stormy Mayday, which we don't. But just like the Bond franchise, the other variable is quality, and there's no shortage of that either, as we'll see. So anyway, let's do it. Fucking AC/DC. Ha! Bye-bye. We're going to do a couple of disclaimers and caveats here, albums that are not going to be included in the list. I'm not including Who Made Who. The song Who Made Who is quite good, but the rest of the album is just sort of padded out with crappy instrumentals and a bunch of older songs as well. It's not really an album actually, it's a bit of a con, so don't bother, and I'm not including it. I'm also not including I forget what it's called now. It's called AC/DC Live, and when was it released? 91 or 92. It's not a bad album at all. It pales next to If You Want Blood a little bit, but I do think the version of Let There Be Rock on here is actually, yeah, it's better than the one on If You Want Blood. So and actually the whole album itself, although it doesn't quite capture that lightning in a bottle energy of If You Want Blood, it's still, I think it's still worthwhile if you're a fan and you want more AC/DC live stuff. I'm also not including 74 Jailbreak. This was more like a mini album or a sort of long EP that was released in the early 80s, but it's from the early Bon Scott years. It is quite good, I do quite like it, but it's not really an album. So I think it does belong in the canon, but I'm not including it on the list of counting down the albums. So there we go, and I think that's it. Now on to a special review. Again, not included in the countdown, but I'm going to do a special review now of If You Want Blood. And here is the review, yes. So, if you want blood, you got it. Actually, if you've been living in a cave for the last 50 years and for some reason have never heard AC/DC, this ain't a bad place to start. Do you get the reference? Ain't a bad place to start, hell ain't a bad place to do. Yeah, I know, it's very clever. Yeah, actually, I mean, it almost acts as like a mini greatest hits of the early Bon Scott years. You've got all the first 4 albums very well represented, apart from Highway to Hell, because they hadn't recorded Highway to Hell yet. But yeah, just fantastic live album. Great performances, great songs, great energy. I don't think that actually this is just one, just a great AC/DC live album. I think it's one of the best live albums of all time. So check it out. So let's begin the countdown, shall we? At 15, Fly on the Wall. Back in the 90s, I bought this album on CD from a shop, and I took it home and put the CD on, and after a couple of songs, I honestly, and I'm not just saying this, I honestly thought, shit, the CD's broken. I've got a corrupted CD. It can't be supposed to sound this bad. Yes, it is, and no, it wasn't. As in, yes, it was supposed to sound that bad. Yes, well, no, wait, which one is it? Yes. No, it wasn't broken, and yes, it did sound that bad. This is the second album that AC/DC self-produced, and on the first album that they self-produced, Flick of the Switch, I actually think they did quite a good job of capturing that live, raw, in the moment, spontaneous feeling. But I think on this album they just don't. It just sounds bad. It sounds like the band and all their gear have been wrapped up in wet toilet paper. I mean, it's not a total write-off. I mean, Hell or High Water's okay, and Sink the Pink is also sort of okay. I mean, there are some hooks scattered around, some decent riffs here and there, but really no, it is pretty rubbish. I mean, if you get completely plastered, it's just about okay. But no, I mean, it's the nadir of their career, and yeah, not very good. At 14, blow up your video. Oh dear, look at that title and artwork now. Dated. Remember videos, do you? And actually, weirdly enough, the album also sounds quite dated in itself. The music and the production sound dated, which is even weirder when you consider that it was produced by Harry Vanda and George Young, who produced the older albums. But it just sounds so bloodless and sterile and stuffy. I'm not even sure what it is. Maybe let's just blame Simon Wright's drumming. Let's blame Simon for Blow Up Your Video. Again, not a total write-off. There are some good songs on here. Hello. I think that That's the Way I Want to Rock and Roll. Nice straight up AC/DC rock and roll song. I think Mean Streak has a sort of a nice sort of slinky meanness to it. And oh, I really love Two's Up actually. It's got a great face melter. It's really epic. I really love how needlessly graphic and explicit the lyrics are. There's also lots of very bad songs as well. I mean, Rough Stuff is really, really rubbish. And Kissin' Dynamite, is that a cock reference again? It's just not one of their best. Well, last hour I've been trying to get into these frickin' burger slices, these cheese slices. I can't get in. I'm so hungry. I mean, who fucking designed this? I mean, it's just unbelievable. I can't get in. I mean, I feel like I mean, I'm looking. There's no you have to get used scissors. Do you see that? Scissors. I haven't got any scissors with me. I haven't got anything with me. I don't know. And it hurts my teeth when I try to do it with my teeth. Well, what the hell? Let's do one now. At number 13. The bow's about to rock. We salute you. This is the one with Cannon on the cover and Cannon's on one of the songs, the title track. I do like this album. I know I placed it on in quite a lowly position on the list, but I do like it anyway. The title track is obviously great. I also like Put the Finger on You. Well, that's a song about, well, it's an AC/DC song called Put the Finger on You. What do you think it's about, kids? It's quite Spinal Tappy, but good, as is Let's Get It Up. I love that lyric about a pirate on my loving knees. I also like, I think it's got kind of like a sort of nice sort of funky, sort of slower blues quality that's breaking the rules. Very overlooked and underrated little Acca Dacca gem there. Really like that one. I think also a bit of a lost classic is the closer, Spellbound. It's got a very nice slow build quality. It's quite atmospheric, quite dark. I really like it. In terms of the production, this is the third album produced by Mutt Lange, and just to give my opinion on this, I mean, I think he is the definitive AC/DC producer. He gets just the right balance between that, capturing that raw live sound, and that polished but not too polished sound as well, not over polished. So I think they should bring him back. I mean, I think there's two problems with the album really. One is that it was released a year after Back in Black, so it's definitely in the shadow when it comes to that. So I mean, I think it's always one of those albums that came after Back in Black, and therefore it's always been thought of as a bit of a letdown, and I suppose it is. But even if you take it just on its own merits, there are some weaker tracks here. I mean, Snowballed is a bit rubbish, and COD. Every time I read that acronym, I just think COD. I like COD, and it's not very good. And also on Night of the Long Knives, the DC decide to go all Iron Maiden on us. No thanks. But overall, I do think it's good. If you're new to AC/DC, this is not the place to start. But if you've listened to some DC and you would like to learn more, then definitely check it out. I got in. Eating the sandwich now. At number 12, Black Ice. I remember when this first came out, I was disappointed. Yeah, initially I was disappointed. It didn't help that the first song I heard was Rock and Roll Train, which I just fucking hate this song. I hate it. Do you know what I thought when I first heard this song? Status Quo. First time I listened to it on headphones, I remember thinking, status quo. I mean, it is quite long, it's 15 tracks, so inevitably there is filler. Stormy Mayday has slide guitar, but I think that's the most memorable thing about it. Rocking All the Way is just one of those DC tracks you listen to and you go, straight away, as soon as it's finished, just instant amnesia. I mean, I couldn't hum it with a gun to my head. Rock and Roll Dream, that was commented on quite a lot when it came out, because people said it was the closest that AC/DC had ever come to a ballad, but actually that's not technically true, as you'll discover a little bit later. But it was ballad-like, and it is kind of moody and a bit slower and a bit more reflective, I suppose. I'm not sure it's really a ballad. It's a bit ballady. It's all right, but also, as you'd expect from 15 tracks, there are definitely highlights as well. Anything Goes is AC/DC at their poppiest best. It's a real sugar rush song. Wheels, the lyrics are as dumb as a rock, but I just really love the riff. I could just listen to that riff endlessly for like 12 hours. Maybe not 12 hours, that would be too much. Also, I really like I like the closer, Black Ice, really good. It's got a real sense of menace to it. And I love the way, again, it sort of builds and builds and builds. And I love those lyrics. Got lyrics about gouging people's eyes out. Always up for a bit of eye gouging. We seem to have hit rush hour here in Seikgyi, so I'll just wrap it up. From the vantage point of 10 years later, I think I've made my peace with this album. It's not perfect, it is flawed, but the fact that they do push themselves out of their comfort zone a little bit is to be commended. And I think overall, yeah, the bad outweighs the good. I suppose Black Ice is the closest thing that AC/DC have and will ever have to their White Album. At number 11, Rock or Bust. I went into this album with a fair bit of trepidation. Malcolm Young was out of the band because of dementia. Phil Rudd was arrested on drug charges, and I think at the time, was it facilitating a murder? I bet the charges were later changed, I think. But oh me of little faith, Rock or Bust is actually pretty great. Apart from another lousy title and artwork combo, that artwork has to be the worst artwork AC/DC has ever done. That looks like something you could do on a school computer back in the early 90s. It's really bad. Oh dear, the road's not here anymore. Oh dear. Well, let's finish the video in any case. But apart from that, there's nothing really wrong with Rock or Bust. Misadventure is a catchy pop rocker. Rock the Blues Away is a great Friday night anthem, and Baptism by Fire is a wee classic. I think if there is a weakness overall, it's that even by AC/DC's super conservative standards, this album is super conservative. Not one song cracks the 4-minute mark or breaks the mold in any way. They're hardly challenging themselves here with the lyrics, but I do like this album. I think it's great. It's fun, it's focused, it's catchy, and at less than 35 minutes, it doesn't outstay its welcome. And we're back. Oh. At number 10, I'm on a highway to hell. That's the last bit. I know this is quite low, but for me, always with with Highway to Hell, I've always had a slightly strange relationship with it. I really love about half the album, and the other half I don't hate, I don't dislike. It's not bad, I just don't really like it that much. I mean, let's start with the title track. I know this is going to be DC blasphemy for a lot of fans, but to be honest, that song I just think it's quite good. I just think it's good. I know the riff is iconic, and the chorus does pack a punch, but for me it just always sounds as if they're straining to get out of third gear but not quite managing it. Just doesn't quite get to where you want it to go. I mean, I like lots of songs on Highway to Hell. Girls Got Rhythm. It's got like a bit of a disco quality to it, almost, just a tad, just a little bit. As is Touch Too Much, which repeats the same trick. These are very good AC/DC poppy songs. I also really like Walk All Over You, which is up there with one of my all-time favorite DC tracks. And of course there's If You Want Blood, which is of course, you know, indisputable, which one is that? Whatever. We're not disputing that, it's a classic. But then there's lots of tracks on here which I just don't really get that excited about. Beating Around the Bush, Shot Down in Flames, Get It Hot, Love Hungry Man, and Night Prowler. Yeah, those songs, I mean, they're not bad, I don't dislike them, they're just, for me, they're always just quite good. They don't quite hit the sweet spot for me. So yeah, I mean, I think that's basically how I feel. I think that Highway to Hell is a great album, but it's not a great album. You understand what I mean? Great, but not great. At number 9, with a flick of a switch! This used to be a bit higher on my list, but I did bump it down slightly because I recently re-listened to it, and I thought, well, you know, it is great, but it's not that great. I think the main reason for that is that it is a bit repetitive. There's no real variety. They don't really change up the tempo. Every song's sort of between 3 and 4 minutes, and the chorus just consists of the name of the song being shouted at you. It's a bit samey, but you know, samey or no samey, there's still lots of great AC/DC on here. I really like the title track, the big banging riff on that. I also like Brain Shake. That will shake your brain as well as your dandruff. And there is Guns for Hire, which is AC/DC at their knuckle dragging best. I think also the production's good on this album. This is the first album that they produced by themselves, and I think they do a good job of capturing that, you know, live, in the moment, raw, stripped back vibe. It's not the world's best AC/DC album. It's not their best. It's not perfect, but you know, despite its flaws, you can have a good time with it. Bang a beer and chug your wait a minute. No, chug a beer and bang your head. Actually, you know what? Spontaneity. I'll keep that in. Perfect to bang your beer, chug your head and bang a beer to it. Chug your head and bang your beer to it. At number 8, Stiff Upper Lip. I really like the way this sounds, just so stripped back and bluesy. It's like you're in the studio with the band and they're just jamming away. Hi. And you're just lucky enough to be there. I mean, all right, not every single track is fantastic, but come on, you're in the studio with AC/DC, you know, you're spoilt. I suppose if I'm completely honest, one of the main reasons that I place this as high as I have is that I first heard this album when I was at school, when I was 16 or 17 years old. So it brings back memories, this one. I realized that perhaps compiling a list based on your memories from school isn't the most objective way to go about making a list, but my list, it's good this, I can just do whatever I want. I could put Fly on the Wall at number 1 if I wanted to. I just don't want to. Dirty Deeds, Daddy Dad Shape. I like this one also. Actually, doing this countdown makes me realize how arbitrary most of the placings are. I mean, Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap could be just as easily at number 12, number 4, or number 9. I mean, so many of these albums, I love them all kind of equally in the same. Well, anyway, to the album review. Basically, I really like it. I think, like Black Ice, it does showcase a slightly more diverse side of Acca Dacca. So you've got Rocker, which is very fast and furious. It's almost a punk song, actually. I mean, in the early days, AC/DC, some people tried to pin the label of punk on them, even though it's ridiculous, really. I mean, they are not a punk band, but this song comes close. Then there's going to be some rockin', which is kind of like rowdy barroom blues. And then you've got Ride On. I mean, a lot of people say that Rock and Roll Dream is the first AC/DC ballad-like song. Not really true. Ride On got there first, and it's a much better song, in my opinion. There's Ain't No Fun, Waiting Around to Be a Millionaire. God, I missed the really long AC/DC songs, and this is a long one, and it's a great one, and it's got perhaps my favourite AC/DC lyric, which is "Get your fucking jumbo jet out of my airport." Classic. Ahoy me hearties! At number 6, the Blazes Edge, pick up the shirts. Thunderstruck. Do I need to analyse this for you? You have ears. Great song, classic, love it. Let's just let them get that out of their system. Nice long old honk that. There we go. Then you've got Fire Your Guns, great lean little rocker, not an ounce of fat, beautiful. Then you've got Money Talks, which holds the distinction of being the only AC/DC song I knew before I became a fan. And it's also just a fantastic pop song. Lots of hooks, huge chorus, fun lyrics, I really like it. Then there's the title track, Razor's Edge. A lot of people threw AC/DC into the heavy metal genre, and they always rejected that label, and I agree with them, but this does sound a bit metally. There is a touch of metal to this, for sure. Then there's Mistress for Christmas. It's just rubbish, really, isn't it? It's not funny, it's lame, it's not a good song. No. Then you've got the closer, which is Rock Your Heart Out. Just a great closer, really great rock and roll song. Love it. Then we go to side 2. This is when side 1 or side 2 was a real thing. But the opener to side 2, if you have this on vinyl, is Are You Ready? Just a great pumping rock song. Huge chorus, fantastic backing vocals, great Friday night anthem again. Great to, to bang a beer and chug your head to this one. And then right at the end, there's a sting in the tail. At the end of the Razor's Edge, there's a happy ending. If You Dare is, I think it's in that category marked overlooked, underrated, hidden classics AC/DC. If there was an alternate AC/DC greatest hits, this would or should be on. I think after a couple of missteps production-wise, it's great to hear the band sounding so great. I also love the fact that Cliff and Malcolm are so up front and center on this album. I mean, the backing vocals just sell this album. It's just really great to hear them so prominently. This is the closest you're ever going to get, I think, to hearing AC/DC do shared vocals. At number 5, Ballbreaker! When I first heard this album, I didn't like it at all. I thought it was too long, I thought it was too sleazy, but over the years I have come to love Ballbreaker. For one thing, I mean, and most importantly, it rocks throughout. In fact, the weakest track might be, for me at least, Hard as a Rock, the only song from Ballbreaker that makes it onto modern set lists. Yes, it's hard, yes, it rocks, but it's far from the best thing on the album. Boogeyman and Honey Roll are deliciously sleazy slabs of blues rock. Hail Caesar goes quasi-Iron Maiden again, but this time it works. Then there's Caught With Your Pants Down. That's the name of the song, and there's this actual lyric on it, I shit you not. Rockin' with your pants down! Honestly, I think it's genius. And then there's the title track. I mean, I love the really smutty lyrics. The fact that it just keeps building and building, and by the end you can feel Brian Johnson's spittle on your face. Angus Young is like pulling his guitar strings out. Then it's like the whole band is on fire, then it just collapses in on itself, like doo-doom, the end, job done. Also, a lot of the things that I initially saw as weaknesses, I now see as non-issues or even strengths. Like the sleazy lyrics. As I get older, I'll go in for a bit of sleaze now. Then there's the length. It's nice to hear the band cutting loose a bit on this. Several songs are over 5 minutes, only one song is beneath the 4-minute mark. I think it's great that they allow their songs to breathe a bit on here, allow a bit of time to build and, to change up the tempo and, and to shift things around a bit. I think it's great. Also, the production. I know a lot of fans and AC/DC themselves
I'm not a big fan of Rick Rubin's production. Apparently he sort of just meditated his way through it, and the band wanted someone who's a bit more hands-on or whatever, but for me, I really like it. It sounds like when you squeeze a really muscly arm. I think that's the best metaphor I can come with. It's like grabbing an arm full of muscle. Over the years, it's become one of my favorite AC/DC albums. Underrated for sure.
At number 4, high voltage rock and roll. Got to watch out for those cracks, actually. I almost killed myself last time. OMG, look at this. Lucky I didn't break my freaking neck. The funny thing is, I was balls deep. I was big balls deep in Brian Johnson era AC/DC before I even heard my first Bon Scott album, which was this one. I mean, to the extent, and I'm not joking, when I first heard High Voltage, I thought, who's this guy? This doesn't sound like Brian Johnson, is it? It's a different singer. So this does have a special place in my heart. It's the first Bon Scott album that I heard. And it's also, of course, it's got lots of really great songs on it. It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll. What a mission statement track. Then there's Live Wire. I love that dum 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 bass at the beginning. Then there's Can I Sit Next to You Girl, which again, another really good sort of poppy rocker from AC/DC, very catchy, really great little song. Then of course there's the title track, which is just a banger. I mean, they do kick the momentum in the nuts somewhat with Little Lover and She's Got Balls. When's the last time you heard them play those ones live? I really like this album. As I say, it has a special place in my heart. So yes, High Voltage, number 4, great album. Oh. Echo, my shadow and me. There's my shadow. Hello, shadow. Okay, so number 3, Powerage. Powerage is the Fans Fan album. If you're into Powerage, you're a proper AC/DC fan. When I was a teenager and I first got into AC/DC, there I go, reminiscing again about my teen years. But when I first got into this album, this was my gateway into heavy metal. So for me at the time, I remember that Metallica, Motorhead, Acca Dacca, it all sounded just sort of hard and heavy and the same to me. I didn't distinguish on genre. Now looking back, I don't think it sounds metal at all. I mean, AC/DC, really, they're a blues band, and nowhere is this more true than on Powerage, which is where they really split the difference between their rock and roll and their blues. So yeah, lots of great songs, of course, and lots of very bluesy songs. Gone Shootin' and What's Next to the Moon and Down Payment Blues are all blues. Then you have more rocking, rock and rolly, rocking songs like Rock and Roll Damnation and Up to My Neck in You, which is, that's just a great song. Really nasty lyrics, great face melter from Angus, and just really great. Just a really powerful, great Acca Dacca track. Love it. Yes, I mean, if anything, I suppose sometimes I find this album a little bit too rootsy for my taste, but I'm quibbling. This is a great album. It's my number 3. Love this album. Powerage! 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 At number 2, Let There Be Rock! Let There Be Rock and Roll! Well, this wasn't one of my favorite albums till recently, when I thought, actually, I love just about every song on here. It's just full of classics. Do you remember what I said in the last video about how Summer Days and Summer Nights by the Beach Boys is like a mini greatest hits? Well, you could say the same thing about this album. OMG, how do I get through the bridge? Right. Actually feels like a total waste of time picking apart Acca Dacca songs to begin with. I've just realized they're all basically the same. Didn't quite anticipate this happening. Oh, now I've lost a shoe. Look at that. Sure, everyone's laughing at me. Hi, Mingalaba. There's so many great songs, it could stand alone as a greatest hits. Let There Be, the title track, Let There Be Rock. Hi, I'll try and high five you. There we go. Multitasking. Whole lot of Rosie, of course. Bad Boy Boogie. Hell Ain't a Bad Place to Be. The list goes on and on, doesn't it? I also quite like the way that Overdose starts in a little bit of an avant-garde fashion, a little bit different. The sort of ding 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 ding, dang 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 dang. It's not quite business as usual. It's a little bit strange, a little bit out there, bit different to the other songs in the Acca Dacca oeuvre. Is that oeuvre or oeuvre? I can't. I've only ever seen that word written down, so I'm not sure. Maybe you can let me know in the comment section, or I can check when I get home on the internet. But well, it's in the video now. Well, I can edit it out, I suppose, if I don't like it. Oh, listen to me. I'm meant to be reviewing Let There Be Rock. Oh my god. So where was I? Oh yes, Let There Be Rock. It's very good. You should listen to it. Great Acca Dacca album, etc., etc. I think you get it. Anything else to say? No. Oh, here we go again. Oh, hey. Hey. Oh, there's nowhere to go. At number 1, it's Back in Black. I don't just think this is the best AC/DC album, I think this is one of the best albums of all time. It's that rare thing. I can count albums that have this quality on one hand. There's not a single skippable track. There is not a single filler. There's no weaker songs. That's very, very rare. I mean, I've consumed a lot of music in my life, and that's unusual. Hell's bells, worth the price of admission alone. Many bands have used bells since then, but I think the bells here are it's definitive bell usage. Then you've got Shoot to Thrill. I love the way when you think it's over, actually it builds and builds up again to another climax. Love it. What Do You Do for Money, Honey? And then you've got underrated songs like Shake a Leg. Great song, great lyrics, great riff, just a fantastic song. I mean, you've got to hand it to AC/DC. Bon Scott dies the same year. I mean, that could be a killer blow for lesser bands. You lose Bon Scott. He's a very charismatic, magnetic presence behind the mic. That would be curtains for lesser bands, but for AC/DC, they came back and made their strongest album. But I have to say, I mean, Brian Johnson puts in such a good performance on this album. I mean, his vocals just, I mean, he almost has a soulful quality, even when he's singing lyrics like, "Let me put my love into you, babe. Let me cut your cake with my knife." Occasionally I meet people. I mean, I've got a friend who's a musician who hasn't heard Back in Black. If you haven't heard Back in Black, do yourself a favor. Listen to it as soon as you can. Bang a beer and chug your head to it. AC/DC, Back in Black. Number 1. Numbers all go to 11.